I live in Korea and I've never experienced racism because of this one hack that I'm about to teach you.
Glad to have you amazing viewer. It's an exciting time at Comfort for Life Network. I came across this video on my For You page on TikTok and decided to bring it here so that you can learn a few things. Don't hesitate to leave your thoughts in the comment section. Let's interact. Before you go further, listen to this.
So a student came up behind me yesterday. I was kneeling down on the ground and she gave me a hug from behind and she said, "Mr. Patrick, you smell nice." And the student who was right next to her said, "What? Mr. Patrick doesn't smell nice. He can't smell nice." And I said, "Well, why is that?" And he said, "Because you're black. Black people can't smell nice." And I said, "Well, why can't we smell nice?" And he said, "Because your skin, it's brown." The implication being that, you know, we're brown because our skin is dirty. And so I said, "Well, my skin is brown, but I'm not dirty or anything. I shower, I take baths just like you every day." I said, "Come smell my wrist," the area where I sprayed cologne on. And he smelled it and said, "Why do you smell nice?" I went on to explain how my whole family is brown. We were born this way. And I explained that we have melanin, a lot of melanin in our skin. And he said, "What, melon? You have melons in your skin? I can eat you?" He started being silly at this point. I was like, "No, it's melanin." And I didn't really get a chance to go further into it because we were in the middle of taking pictures and we had to move on to something else. So that was the end of that conversation. But it was just one of those moments where you realize this is a conversation that is never not going to happen as long as I'm living in this country. And that's fine. I don't mind it. I really don't mind having that conversation with kids. I've talked about that multiple times on here. I've had so many conversations with kids. And this student isn't even Japanese, mind you. He is Asian, so he looks a lot like the people around him, but he's not Japanese. And so the students at my school, even though it's an international school and there's lots of different nationalities, ethnicities represented here, the students grow up in this country where almost everyone looks similar. And so they might think some of the same things that my Japanese students in the past have thought. They might be wondering, why is he brown? He must not be clean. He must be dirty. You know, all those same things. And so that gives me the opportunity to step in as that first point of contact for so many of them to be like, "No, this is normal. My skin is the same as yours. It's just a different color." And as tiring as that can be sometimes, I really don't mind it. I haven't had that conversation in quite a while, actually. So that was a bit refreshing, but having the conversation again just reinforces in my mind the importance of me being here. So as long as I can have these conversations with kids and help broaden their horizons, their perspectives, I'm more than happy to do so.
My son literally just told me he does not want to go back to school anymore. He just wants to do homeschool. And I kept pressing him like, you know, why is it that you don't want to go back anymore? Why just homeschool? Come to find out, y'all, that he's been getting teased because the kids found out that he does crocheting. Let me show you what he did with his crochet stuff.
He put it all in the trash, you guys. Like, hello, crochet friends. This is a book by Jonah Larson. This book is all about Jonah's story, and I think one that your son might be able to relate to. Jonah was adopted from Ethiopia, and it talks about how he struggled and he almost got kicked out of 3 daycare centers, 57 bad behavior slips. But one day his aunt drops over a leftover bag full of craft items and he starts to learn crochet. He sees this little octopus that he really wants to make. When he first started to crochet, he didn't know a lot of things. But most importantly, I didn't know that some people believe the stereotype that boys don't crochet. I didn't care. I like that crocheting made me happy. In the summers, he goes to the county fair and he wins blue ribbons for all his crochet pieces. Even though Jonah was getting good at crochet, school was still rough. He was continuing to get in trouble and his parents got worried. They had meetings with the principals and the teachers. Nothing was working. Nothing until a teacher asked me if I wanted to bring my crochet to school. My brother was worried. He's very protective of me that I might get picked on, but Jonah wanted to give it a try. Why? Because when I was crocheting, I didn't feel jumpy or jittery. I didn't feel like I needed to do something to get attention. My mind was quiet, calm, and peaceful. I was happy to sit by my mom and focus on my project. I wondered, could the same thing happen at school? So this book talks about what happens when Jonah takes his crochet to school and how he finds a crocheting community of supporters. So I recommend take a look and read Jonah Larson's Hello Crochet Friend.
I have a lot of respect for such creators who decide not only to live such experiences into their houses, into their classrooms, but also record themselves and educate the society at large concerning the things that are happening in their classrooms. And I really appreciate that. Isn't it amazing to see such content? So that's why when I see such, I try hard. I really do my best to amplify their voices so that we can educate ourselves on the things that are happening in our society. Do you see, and do you even realize, have you seen that we really have a long way to go in the fight against racism? Because I've come to realize that even our education systems aren't really doing much. Just imagine we are not providing room to teach our children on the diversity there is in our society. I've watched a lot of straight interviews where I've seen that some people are not even aware of Black people. You'll see someone who is old and maybe in his 50s come to see a Black person for the first time into their lives, and maybe they just hear things that are happening, things about Black people, right? So I think that parents have a lot to play, a role to play. It's important for us as parents to take it upon ourselves to teach our children on the diversity there is in our community, on our society, because it's not just us, it's not just the US, it's not just you, it's not just a white person in a certain corner in the world, but there are quite a lot of people that you've never met. They're also pygmies. There's quite a diversity of people, a variety of people that maybe you are not aware of, but it doesn't mean that they're less important than you, because it's your history that is being spoken of often. We have a long way to go. And just imagine this was an experience lived by a teacher. Just imagine if it was a student who was approached that way, like, you're smelling good and you are a brown boy. Just imagine if it was a child. I think they could have behaved like the second clip that I've just shared. I went to homeschool because no one would want to go through such, But I appreciate that it was lived among, it was a teacher who had to go through that. And I appreciate the courage that he even took to, explain with no offense. It's amazing. There's also a clip that I came across of someone who has decided to just erase racism from her mind. She's saying that, people who are racist are ignorant. They don't know the diversity there is. And she has taken a different approach to racism. Hope you learn a few things from it if you are struggling with racism, and if it's going straight into you. There's a way discrimination can really get into you and discourage you, that this boy who had given up on his dream, he wanted to homeschool, he had thrown everything, the stuff he had made in the bin, because he wanted to give up on his dream because of how nobody wanted to associate with him because of his crocheting abilities. He's an Ethiopian. Like, you just imagine that. It's crazy. But this lady has decided to just take it differently. If someone is racist to me, this is what I will do, because I've just come to realize that it's nonsense. It doesn't exist. It's not like she knows that it doesn't exist, but she has decided to respond positively to it, and always twists the intention behind it. I find it so interesting. Let's listen to the clip. Enjoy the clip, but don't forget to smash the like button, subscribe to the channel. I will end the video with this particular clip that I've stitched. Let's listen to her and tell me what you think about this.
You. So when I see old people staring at me on the subway, I automatically, without any doubt, I'm like, wow, they're looking at me because they think I'm beautiful. And who knows, they might think I'm really pretty, or they might be thinking, ugh, look at that disgusting foreigner. But in my mind, my reality, racism does not exist. In the science community, you would call this mental reconditioning. I personally like calling it being delusional. And honestly, that is the trick to not having racism even touch you. Yes, it still exists, but it does not, like, it doesn't enter your bubble. Another scenario, this never happened to me, but let's say that a Korean man rejected me because he says, oh, you know, I'm just not into girls who look like you, I'm not into foreign girls. I immediately would just be like, oh, he can't handle me. I'm so beautiful, so cool, so great that he just cannot handle me. Nothing to do with me, everything to do with the other person. And this is how, honestly, I go about my life in any facet of life. And mental reconditioning is like a real thing. You can buy books on it, you can just Google it. It's the best thing I've ever done for my mental health.